think some kids can be stressed because and some parents too can be stressed because either the kid feels that or the parents feel that they're not quite there, they're not on track, and then we always compare, right? We compare to our friends' kids, we compare to other kids or whatever. And you know, looking back at this many years out from high school and college now for me, I mean, I see people who started quote unquote slow and have had
Right.
tremendously successful careers. So people have just different paths. Things take a different time to sort of cook. It's sort of like the equivalent of like a meal. Like some recipes you need to kind of braise and cook and slow
Yeah.
cook, whereas other recipes are fast sort of stir fries. And certain kids are like that, right? And so I think knowing your kid and having some patience and knowing yourself as a kid, I think is really important, and to realize that there's no single path. Some people choose college because they have a particular career path in mind. Some people choose college independent of a career path because they have no clue. And growing up in the United States, you have the benefit. It's sort of like a double-edged sword. You have the benefit of being able to go to a great college, in fact, not having any clue of what you want to do, right? But the curse, the negative side of that, is that college doesn't necessarily help you define and refine that unless you actively find ways to do that on your own.
What techniques do you share to get people a little bit more comfortable with just talking to other humans? Because again, they are now in the hot seat where they have to communicate and use those soft skills.
Yeah, so I would say a couple of things. The first thing is to find your source of conviction. In other words, like why it matters, basically, like why you care. Like a conversation with someone you don't know is probably going to feel uncomfortable. I mean, it is to anyone, really.
Right.
I mean, unless you're like an ultra extrovert or something. But for many people, it's uncomfortable. So there has to be some reason, some motivation, and it has to be somehow compelling to you. Because if it's not, then you'll probably avoid it or you'll suppress it or something like that. So try to discover what your motivation is, what your why is, in a sense, like what your conviction is. So that's first thing. Second thing I would say that's really important is that there's no single way to do this, and that I think is really important, especially for people who aren't necessarily so comfortable. You might see people doing it one way, but if you keep your eyes open, you'll probably see a range of ways in which people approach others that they don't know. Some people do it through LinkedIn, and actually college kids, are, at least where I teach, are becoming quite adept at LinkedIn. It's very common. Other people might use different means. Frankly, depending on the profession, it could be Instagram. You're not going to probably go for a bank job in Instagram, but in certain fields, absolutely, if the fashion industry or something like that, I could imagine. Maybe now post-COVID times or pre-COVID times, and in-person networking events suit certain people really well, and others are terrified of them. And if it terrifies you, try to find smaller, more intimate ones. Maybe go with a friend. Maybe try to find even smaller venues and events, and so on. And so I think there are ways to sort of customize how you do it, just like you customize your coffee, you customize everything, right? There are ways to
Yeah.
customize how you approach people. So there's no one size fits all. I think that's something that's really important to know. A lot of people struggle with it, and I don't think it's something that's so easy to just break free. Like I can't tell you like, do this, like count to 10 in your head, snap your fingers, and then you got it. It's not that easy. The imposter syndrome is sort of the idea that you don't feel like you belong, and that people are going to find out that you're a fraud, sort of that you're an imposter. And it plagues a lot of people, especially people who are new at something, and especially people who like young people, for instance, approaching older, more experienced people about careers, let's say. As a young person, you might think to yourself, like, why would this person ever want to talk to me? Like, what do I possibly have to add? Or how could I possibly, like, I'm just a bother, and so on and so forth. And I'm also an imposter. I know nothing about their fields, so therefore I'm not going to do it. The thing that a lot of young people don't realize is that there is something that they can give someone who's very, very experienced, in that they're, in fact, uniquely qualified to do it, which is the experience of of being a mentor and being someone to impart wisdom upon, and to pass things forward, and to create a legacy. So people, as they get older in their career, more along in their careers, want to give back. They want to pass things on. And in order to do that, they need people to pass things on to. So if you're a young person who knows nothing but is curious and is interested and asks authentic questions and is reasonably professional in terms of the way you follow up and so on and so forth, that's all you need to do. And you will get a very high hit rate on people, surprisingly high.